This podcast would not be possible without our amazing sponsors. Bruce, who we got?
Easy Way. Spending hours cleaning screens is a thing of the past. With Easy Way screen printing and screen cleaning chemicals, their innovative formulas are designed to work quickly and effectively, so you can spend less time cleaning and more time creating. Plus, Easy Way is passionate about empowering printers of all skill levels. They offer helpful resources and expert advice to help you succeed in screen printing. Steven, Multigraph?
Bruce, have you heard of Multicraft_Daddy? If you need ink, supplies, or a daddy, Multicraft Screen Printing and Digital Supplies for over 50 years has been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. Mention the Printavo pod. You'll receive an extra 10% off your first order. Dave and the Multicraft team, they've partnered up with PMI tape. Every episode, they're giving out a free case of PMI tape. In order to enter, you have to follow Dave on Instagram. That's multicraft_daddy, and he'll pick one wimp winner per week.
Pick one wimp per week to get PMI tape. Supercolor, the world's best heat transfer. Supercolor is made for screen printers by screen printers. They truly understand the pressures and expectations of running a shop. And that's why they pride themselves on being super fast and super easy. And super DTF. So order quantities used to be 10, now they're 1. And so, you'll be able to get your stuff in pretty darn quickly because they've got an awesome support team and turnaround time. Printavo 15, that gets you 15% off your order.
All right, Graphic Source. Last but not least, if you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, you should call Graphic Source. They offer industry-leading outsource options for truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management software. And when it comes to SEPs, mockups, creative art, order management, embroidery, digitizing, back office admin, and customer service, there's no better company in our industry to work with. They have over 30 years in the game. They really know and understand shop needs and have a proven track record of success. They are a staple at Campus Inc. And, with the crazy busyness of March Madness, we even called in extra support. They put in more artists on our account to help us through a crazy time. Thanks so much, Graphics. We really appreciate you. 50% off your first vector, SEP, or embroidery order using the code PrintavoPod24. All right.
Let's go. Mr. Frank Good.
Yes.
That map behind you, you were saying you had decorators marked on it? Like you had pins on them?
I did at one time. It started becoming a holy mess into the sheetrock. This is my home office.
Where are
is
the
Campus Inc. right there? Campus Inc. Yep, there we are. No pin on it.
Right. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
The Premier Decorators is on another whole list in our heart.
I appreciate you.
And its whole. Where were the majority of the contract decorators circled? Do you remember?
Yeah, Chicago.
Really?
Well, it maybe because it's S&S. And
okay.
And that's where we started. A lot of those were, if I could share my computer, I'd show you the whole map, but I didn't know if I can do that.
No, it's all good. You can talk through it.
Yeah. So nationwide, we have 325 in our contract decorator network. Just added one the other day. So 325.
And that means the way you're supporting them is like brokers are sending them orders.
Right.
And so you essentially have, massive shipments going to all them. They might not be buying. They're not buying anything really, right?
Most of them, if they're true, 95% contract decoration that they do, they're not purchasing. There's many of them I have to, create logins for them just to show them how to see their shipped in dashboard, because they're like, I don't ever get on S&S. Why would I need to? I'm like, well, you need to because we give you a spoilage and you need to use those spoilage funds to order replacement goods.
That's really interesting. This is something I talked to Rich and Carlos about, Carlo about at Cultures, like true contract decorators versus the faux contract decorators. Well, they contract print for others, but I think what they're getting at is like a true contract decorator that doesn't print for anyone. They only print for other people versus shops that do hybrid. Really, like a shop that only contract prints. Do you call on them different? You call on them differently than a typical shop that buys goods. Is that a completely different department at S&S?
We have the hybrids, and most are doing both. I think to a certain percentage. There's some that they don't even have a sign on their building. People don't even know they're there except their contract customers. But there's others that, to stay, I guess, more balanced with the ebbs and flows of the industry and business. They try to do a hybrid. Contract work keeps the lights on, but profits made in direct business. With those, it's kind of up to them. Do they want to see product all the time? Do they need a sales rep there, a dedicated sales rep that's going to come by and, give them a full rack display demonstration of what's new? So I guess it's, case by case basis, what's their need. But most I very seldom have, maybe out of those 325, maybe 20 of them, don't have a sales rep.
Interesting.
And mentioning, Carlo and Rich, they're sort of a different animal too, because they are in our network, but they offer a single invoice solution, but they buy heavily with SNS. So it's kind of like, you're not a true traditional contract decorator, but you are a great decorator that I'm going to send people to. And if you flip them direct, I'm okay with that because most of your purchases hopefully is with SNS.
Your LinkedIn says connecting contract decorators to the world. Can you just explain that and just step back? Because I think your role at SNS, what is it now? I even saw in the past, going through your background, you ran a promotional product company, it looks like, for 7+ years.
Yeah, I was a screen printer and embroiderer for a time as well.
Well, when you work with SNS, you work with good people. Frank, welcome. Do you like that? I thought of that a little bit ago.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, tell us about your role and what you've been up to.
So with SNS, contract decorator network manager, similar to if you've heard, SanMar has a program called PSST, and I have the highest respect for SanMar because SNS wouldn't have our contract decorator network program if it wasn't for the demand for it created by SanMar. It was previously called Freight Advantage. And so 3 or 4 years ago, I guess it was sort of established. It's gone on before that for the at need in the Chicago area. We didn't have anyone managing it, though. It was just another responsibility of the sales rep, among all the other things that they're, showing product, doing quotes, doing samples. And they're like, hey, we have a program, for contract decorators. And so I pitched it pre-COVID to our management team. And I said, guys, we have nobody managing this. And I really think these contract decorators need direct love from, someone that is helping them grow this. And then our PPAI or ASI type customer promo PPDs, they need somebody, that can push, give them suggestions for who can decorate, who can handle our jobs because we don't decorate, or even maybe, what I call a one-legged dog that only does screen printing but needs a good embroiderer, or vice versa. And so on my LinkedIn, Bruce, to answer you, was, I make those connections, make those marriages happen with our, network of contract decorators. We renamed it last year.
Frank, could you talk about, for those that are listening, what a Freight Advantage, or you mentioned PSST, which SanMar has, what are the perks? Like, what is actually happening systematically in the supply chain? Like, if you're a broker and you're using a contractor that's a part of the SNS contract network, what happens that's advantageous, if you will, to everyone? Could you explain the mechanics?
So, if you're utilizing one of our contract decorator network partners, anything you ship to them from any SNS warehouse, we have 8 now in the nation, is going to ship to them free no matter the quantity. So say you're an embroiderer and, you got a job of 200 polos and they decide, we got 5 more. Well, it's probably going to fall under our free shipping threshold and you're going to get charged for shipping, which eats directly into your margin as a broker. Well, it's advantageous for you to ship to them because if their address is in our network as a contract decorator, you're going to get shipped to them free. Then also being part of that network, as a contract decorator, sometimes oops happen, right? Within production, Stephen, you know that, right? Embroidery machine eats a polo, or
maybe
somebody's pulling off, and they rip an armpit sleeve. Can be an embarrassing moment when you say, hey, we ruined it. Even a lot of contract decorators, they'll build in, a 3% spoilage or 2%, what may be. But it's nice when being in part of our network, we give you a spoilage allowance that you can just utilize, save face with your customer. And you earn this allowance. You can also use it for marketing. Instead of using your dollars to buy, say, an Adidas, A230, which is around $20, you're like, hey, you have a marketing fee. You can use that and you can send it to a potential contract decorator. So those are two main benefits.
And so a broker will reach out to you guys, say, hey, we're looking for a printer in the network. You can be able to say, oh, awesome. There's someone in your area. Here's someone you should chat with. And then they have the relationship and the broker gets the free shipping. That's a win-win all around.
I had one yesterday
really
that had a
from
request
the distributor side.
For union shops in the Midwest. And we have a few, that's one of the profiles is that who's a union shop. I don't know if it's because we're in an election year or what the reason was, but they wanted a list of union shops that are screen printers.
Yeah, there's a lot of the election apparel that gets printed that has to be union.
So
stuff.
that's interesting. Now, somehow or another, I'm not part of that program because we don't contract print. Yeah. But based on a large amount of volume, and it sounds like a really old relationships with my previous business partners and Shannon's and stuff, we've gotten enough volume where we get free freight.
Okay.
And could you explain at what thresholds shops have to spend with SNS to get the perks of, like, when do you guys start putting your eyes on shops? Is it a volume thing? Is it a price thing? Because, I have that perk with SNS, but Sanmar won't give it to me because we're not a contract decorator. So like, you don't really qualify, but I'm like, I spend a shit ton of money with you. Why can't you be as cool as SNS? And so now I just buy more from you guys. But could you explain maybe those kind of things? Like what do you have to spend there a year? How does that work? What do you guys look for as a company? If you can share.
I'm not sure if there is a metric that's probably way above my pay grade, but I know SNS bases everything on a relationship. And I think that's where it starts is, okay, here's a relationship. And I'm sure, there's a metric behind it that, if you're spending over, 200,000, 300,000 in purchases, that, there's different volume thresholds. It's not something we like to do, but we know if it's important to the count, it's going to gain us business. Like you just said, I spend more with SNS. Well, right there, that's reason alone. And sometimes it might be on a trial basis. Hey, can we hit this number if we can lower the threshold another $50? Or we'll even look per account at what's the average spend. If most of your orders are over $200, you're going to get free shipping. There's really no sense to do it. But maybe you have some program businesses set up and it's really eating into your margin. It's a conversation that's had directly with the sales rep and then with their manager. And then it goes above that to get approval.
Are we on track, Frank, for our growth incentive plan? Are you going to check my account? Are we?
I don't have access to your account, Stephen. I mean, I can see it on the back end.
Good political answer.
Good.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is like it's so important that you develop a relationship with your SNS, any of your reps. Yeah. They're going to pull strings for you. They're going to grow with you. They are going to do really, really nice things. They used to we used to get Cubs tickets once a year. Now you have to fly us to some crazy elaborate event. I just wanted Cubs tickets. Now my team takes that trip. They're like, who gets to go on the SNS trip? I'm like, what the heck? Why can't I go? But it was really interesting. We were doing hot market printing and we had a flip on colors last second. And I was able to get a hold of Tim. SNS, Tim Shannon, who was like my business partner's old rep back in the day. Yeah. And he somehow arranged for us to get a truck ready to pick up like 8,000 shirts by 9 a.m. Monday morning, all because of a relationship, and we wouldn't have been able to deliver this order because this literally happened like 2 weeks ago. So it's crazy how powerful, you go online and you order, but having people in your back pocket, you buy from them, they take care of you. It's definitely helps.
Tim's a great guy too, just all around. I mean,
don't let it get to his head.
No, he wouldn't. He's that kind of guy. It won't go to his head, but he is a great guy.
Yeah. When we first started the podcast and Printavo was early and young, I was like 23, 24. And I told Tim, and was his brother Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
I don't know. I forget. There's a lot of them. And I pitched them on all this Printavo, and they kind of just like, okay, cutie pie. And so it's pretty cool. No, he's been great, and he's been super, super helpful in there. I'm curious for you guys at S&S, like what are when if we were to look at a lens inside your company, how do you guys teach the relationships? Do you guys go through training of it? Do you just hire really good people? Like how? And it is a generalization that S&S, like, the reps are very, communicative. They're helpful. It's a very much family business. Do you guys teach that from the top down?
It's emulated from the top down, I will say. And you mentioned Keith Shannon, Tim's brother, who's our CRO. He lives it. He breathes it. He's actually going to be retiring soon. And very sad day for S&S because from the top down, he and Matt, our chief sales officer, Matt O'Connor, Tim, they do, all of them emulate it. And I think that's the first thing. And then it trickles down to our RVPs and then to our salespeople. It is something they look for when they hire a salesperson. They want to know, hey, we're into relationships. We're into relational selling. That's why we are where we are today with the growth that S&S has seen the past 5-10 years. Even to the point when I took over this position, I pitched this position. I was a sales rep. I'm in the Houston area. So I covered Houston and Southern Louisiana. And I pitched it and got the role after COVID. And the program had started, but like I said, nobody was managing it. And there were quite a few that didn't really fit the model of a contract decorator, that for some reason, maybe their business changed, or maybe there was an oversight when we allowed them to be in the program when it was called Freight Advantage. And I was, eager to, make my mark. And I was like, hey, this guy needs to be kicked out. This guy needs to be kicked out. And both Matt and Keith said, we can't do that. These customers, we still have relationships with. So even if they don't, aren't the perfect contract decorator model to be in this, we need to be sensitive to the relationships we've established. And, let's give them a metric. Let's talk them through, explain, what this program's about, and let them know, it's a contract decorator program. We still want to maintain the relationship that we have. And so even from Keith, I remember him telling me verbatim, no, we want to be very sensitive to their needs. We don't want to disrupt any relationship. And that was just one of the examples that, he taught me. He's like, this is very important to this company. I need to follow suit. And I think many others have.
No, I think that's super cool. I got one funny story for you, Frank. I'm going to wrap Bruce out here. So, Bruce likes to use my S&S account occasionally. Yeah. It could be for business. It could be for personal use. We're not going to, but Bruce made the grave mistake of going in and ordering something, but setting the default address to his house. And, I don't want to know what could have happened, but like the next day, I think we ordered like 100 cases of something. And, I think that the day before, like, you got a whole shipment on your doorstep, maybe
a couple boxes, but
it was only a couple boxes, but like, thank God. So, I think Bruce finally got his own S&S account, but I just wanted to rat him out on that. There was nothing. This that didn't have to go on the podcast.
The scammers are out there, Steve. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. I mean, imagine
very differently.
We might not be friends right now, but there could have been a pallet delivered to Chicago, Illinois, in a condo.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot a little bit, Bruce. What do you got?
Okay, so Frank, have you heard of DGI Apparel?
I have. And wasn't he just on your podcast?
Yeah. We just had him on.
Yeah. I think I watched some of it, and he was on another podcast I watched. Adrian Palmer's podcast.
I think the best description was like an Expedia for buying a blank apparel.
Yeah.
And makes it really easy to a point where this was a product that we had envisioned building. I'm sure other production management systems had envisioned building, which is making purchasing process just easier. What shops are doing today, making it easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that came up was, well, how do distributors view this? Like, how, does this create more of a price sensitive customer, or does this help lean on more of the customer service and account management side, like Farag was talking a little bit about? I mean, what is the rumblings behind the scenes been about it?
I think efficiency is great, and if it can help our shops, and competition's good for everyone. I've been on some calls when it comes to pricing, where we're like, hey, we know what some of the other guys are doing. In fact, I got an email, I think yesterday. We know what we're doing. We're going to wait 2 weeks and just kind of see what happens in the market. So I think, yes, sometimes it can hurt. But for the long haul, I think it's helpful. And if it helps the customer, I don't see any issues. We live in a world of API. And I think it's all about streamlining the processes. And I think a tool like DGI, it's only doing that.
It's a tough position that you're in, because you're like, damn it. Now Steven can see Alpha's prices and Sanmar's prices on one window. Well, normally we have 3 monitors. Now we just have one. All right. And so it's interesting to see how competition embraces technology. It's like SNS has an option here. They can fight it, or they can lean into it and figure out the strengths of it and say, okay, maybe this is a way where we can help our customers look through their SKUs and make sure that they're always choosing SNS versus, this is going to suck for us, which I think is interesting and different approaches, because they're really smart. Those guys are building some really smart things, and they're backed by some, in Y Combinator. And so I didn't know, Bruce, you were going to put Frank on the spot, make him talk about it.
Well,
but
I mean, our analogy that we thought was most similar to is airlines.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go through Expedia, and I remember a time where we did, like I did as a, fresh college grad. I didn't care about a layover. I didn't care about the airline. It was just pure cost. Mm-hmm. And then over time, flexibility, support, comfort, all these other aspects started mattering a little bit more. And the cost was a factor in that equation, but wasn't number one. As long as it wasn't like a huge spread. And I find it similar to this predicament, but I think to your point, Farag, it is like the tech was going to happen either way, mm-hmm. because people were still doing it, but now it's a lot easier. So, how do companies lean into it?
I go into shops all the time, though, and I see the big 3 always on the screens, though, already. So I think it's something that is already being done by most shops that are purchasing. It's just now more efficient. It's on one screen, right?
Yeah. So, all right, cool.
But I do
curious in your thoughts. But
back, I'll to add to that. I don't know if you guys do credit card points, but I'm a Chase Ultimate Rewards member, and I do points, and I'm always okay. I'm in Houston, so we get a lot of United direct flights, and I'm like, okay, should I buy it through Chase? Should I transfer it to a partner being United? What's the point value? And, I decided to just book it through Chase because it still gives me my elite status with United. But if I transfer it and then get a free ticket from United, it doesn't give me credit for flight miles. So, same kind of scenario. Say, we were talking about that free freight threshold, Stephen. It might be cheaper, a couple cents cheaper, maybe for that one job. But, having that relationship there, having that loyalty, I think pays dividends later. And like, wait a minute, we're not spending as much. So they went up on our freight threshold. Or, Tim Shannon's not coming around knocking out some of these problems as much as he used to. Why?
Totally. Your alignment is important. It's totally important. I think it'll be interesting to see. There are some brands that we really like in the industry that SNS doesn't carry, right? And it'll be interesting to see if those get onboarded, if there's a compelling case that maybe SNS can use and say, hey, now I can buy AS Color right next to all the SNS stuff. Look at all this and say, hey, maybe AS Color can finally be an SNS, right? Something like that. I don't think that'll ever happen per se. So it'll be interesting to
approached
see.
them, but they're not savvy to the distributor channel.
They're purists, that's how you keep a brand pure, right? I give them credit. A lot of people would run and say, no, I'll get you in, let's do it, where they really, really own that. And I give them a lot of credit for the resiliency there.
Frank,
ahead,
you
Bruce.
you were running a promotional product business, and I didn't know that you were screen printing and doing embroidery too before for a while.
So
what was that journey like, and then what happened to the shop?
Did you have hair then?
I did have hair there.
That's why I pivoted to stalls.
So I was a UPS driver for 10 years. And my ex-wife now, we were having kids. She was staying at home, and she's like, I want something to do while I'm at the house. And a guy on my route was selling a rubber stamp business. And he was wanting to get out because it was just a side hustle. And I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect. And it was, he sold Corel Draw with it. It must have been like version 2 or 3 Corel Draw. And, we bought the business. It already had, it generated, I guess, around 20,000 net already. And bought all the equipment. He said,
a month?
No, a year annually. Sorry.
Hey, okay.
And it was a side hustle, it was at-home business. And he said, but you're going to want to get your ASI number. And I was like, what is that? He goes, yeah, because around Christmas time, some of these guys will want coffee mugs. And so we looked into that. And that was back, I think now they're giving them ASI away or paying you to take it. But you had to get 10 invoices over $100. And they gave you a list of people that would sell to you. And you had to submit them with your application. And we got the ASI number and, started using a screen printer in Houston. They could never meet the deadlines. And my ex-wife said, I think I could get into this. And I had left UPS and bought another business selling DirecTV and Dish Network as a distributor. And so we ran the two in one building, and she grew it. We grew it together and got into embroidery, bought a sign shop, built a building. Unfortunately, life challenges happen, and I got divorced, and that's when I went to stalls. And she took the business, and she still has it. And we have beautiful kids together, and some of them work there. And I try to push business her way because she's just in the next town to where we live, and I'm remarried. She's remarried. Life is good. And I wish her the best. And she's still running screen print, embroidery, signs, banners. Yeah.
Did she buy from SNS or Sandmar? I'm kidding.
Both. She has an SNS rep dedicated to her. So
that's awesome. Frank, for being,
so you saw all these. Oh, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Bruce. What were you gonna say?
You saw all these businesses on your UPS route, and this is where the inspiration all came from delivering.
It was the rubber stamp company. It was just one of the businesses, but I didn't see many screen print shops. It was a little town north of Houston.
How fascinating would that be? I mean, just for a day, I'd love to ride along, see like all the businesses that you interact with are getting
you probably know what businesses are thriving and bustling.
Yeah, it's just crazy amount of packages.
It was a small town too, and I ran for city council, so that was an easy time to politic was when you're delivering packages. Hey, vote for me.
Frank,
or else you won't get your packages.
Frank, at 35 years old, you've done so much already in your life. I mean, you've only got a couple. I'm just kidding.
35. I appreciate that.
Don't take your hat off.
Yeah.
Okay, so Frank, we met. So then you were at Stalls for a while,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how long were you at Stalls for, Frank?
4.5 years at Stalls.
Was this early? Like, how long in the Stalls world were you? Like, Stalls is
2015 to 2019, and it was tough to leave Stalls. Stalls, great company, and I still talk to Josh Ellsworth and many of the people there. Ted Stahl, family-owned business, out of Michigan, and man, they're always innovating. With I'm sure y'all have heard Fulfill Engine. It's just neat the way they pivoted through all the challenges, because I feel like, vinyl has been sort of a decline with the world of DTF, and they just both blew up DTF.
And Stalls is like the 3D stuff that they're doing, the emblems, the like silicone stuff, the leather. Like DTF is just one part, transfers are one part. Like, it's pretty cool. Josh Ellsworth from Stalls, best shoe game in the industry.
Yeah.
He wears great sneakers, I think.
Yeah.
He's always got like something wild on, that like off-whites, and I guess you also, at the same time, the reason we got connected was we were talking about DTF machines.
Yes.
I think that's how we met. I had no idea you were at SNS. And I think if we were to go back and look at our conversations, probably 3 or 4 years now where we've been chatting about these machines. Can you walk us back through your DTF journey? Can you give us a state of the state, like what machines you got, how long you've been in it? Tell us about that. And this is, this is your wife's company, not your company.
Yes. So, my wife, she is everything I'm not, which is a lot. She'll bring me in, when they have company events. I think it's mainly to do most of the talking. I'm definitely the marketer. But she started a business when I was at Stalls. It was just a hobbyist. She was in oil and gas, wanted to get out of sales, and wanted to start her own business. And so she started a hobbyist shop where people come in and buy a shirt and buy the vinyl and cut it on their Cricut or their silhouette, and apply it to the shirt. She even had heat presses they could come in and use. And so the evolution, watching her do that was people, in multiple colors, you're stacking vinyl. And then she's like, hey, what can we do? And I was at Stalls at the time, and I said, well, they have these, Roland Versacams. It's a print cut device. You're going to print it and then cut around it and then apply it to a shirt so it's only one layer. And you're dealing with hobbyists who I feel like they always push the envelope. How far can we go with this? What can we, mess up? They're going to figure it out. So never underestimate a hobbyist or a crafter. They're going to find a way. But the struggle there was getting them to understand cut lines. And then she got into sublimation, and it was like, oh, wow, this is the best thing ever. There's no weeding, no cutting. But then them understanding you can't put that on a 100% cotton shirt was the challenge. And then we came full circle, being at trade shows, post-COVID, felt like every show was a DTF show, right? Long Beach, I remember in 2020, I wanted to call it the DTF show because everybody, that's all it was, the buzz. And I said, hey, you really need to look into this. So in 2020, she jumped into her first machine. And it really was, for the end user, it was a great product. No weeding, multiple colors, pretty much one layer, had, I guess, an acceptable soft hand. It was comparable to plastisol screen print, multiple layers. But most of these crafters are doing a full blob. They didn't know a lot about art and to let the shirt show through, have cavities. So that was still a struggle, but I think it still is today. But it did answer a need. And she went from, her first machine. And I think, Stephen, when I reached out to you, I saw Cobra Flex. And I was like, wow, no powder. and them stretching it. And, they had some good marketing, and it really is a good concept. I just think it's ahead of its time. But I am so glad, so thankful for you, Stephen, helping us avoid that.
I apologize to the 20 shops that that bought them that can't get their money back. That sucks. Keep going.
Oh, interesting side note. I saw on one of the screen printer emails yesterday, powderless DTF. And I thought, oh no, it's CobraFlex again. And it wasn't. It was a white toner printer, and they were just advertising as powderless DTF.
OkiJet or whatever those But
it's very, crafty marketing, I will say. But
so wait, so Frank, you bought your first. What was the first machine? So you just, you saw me flop. Then what was the first one you guys got?
So she decided on the Coldesi 2-head 24H2.
Okay. It was a slower one, but slow and steady, right?
And she still has it and runs it every day. Their support. I think Coldesi did a great job selling. Their support, I would say, is challenging and lacking. But it's a great machine.
Is that a common thing in the DTF industry? You can really sell the crap out of it, but you can't support it?
Well, I've heard M&R supporting their Quattro very well.
Because they're a real company.
Yeah.
They can't pick up their phones on the screen printing side, but digital, another animal.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. M&R.
So from there, she, I said, well, if it's about support, and she's, was down a couple times, and she was using a local printer in the area for fulfillment when her machine was down. And I will tell you, even to this day, she replaces print heads. It's an i3200 dual print head. She can replace them pretty quick. She's constantly troubleshooting humidity. The game, Stephen,
Mm-hmm.
But she said, hey, we need to duplicate this model. She said, but I don't want to go to the problem of support. So she shopped around, and I think it was one of the days I was off from SNS, and I said, hey, let me make some phone calls. So I just started calling people's tech support, see who would answer. And she based the next printer she bought.
I love that.
We based it on
what
tech support would answer their phone. It was DTF Superstore. They have some really, Josiah, we've gotten to know these guys very well. Adam, Jerwin, a few other guys, good tech support. But, it is still new technology that is evolving. So there's still that issue at the time. She went with a Mongoose 2, another 2-head, and she just felt like 2-heads easier to run. When it comes to head alignment, it's easier to line 2 heads than 4. She felt comfortable doing that. And then it got to where she was deciding, hey, I need to market more. I can't be a tech. What do I need to pivot to that's going to be the least?
This sounds like Steven's story.
Yeah. What can I pivot to that's going to
in a female version?
Yeah. And she has some college age kids, females that work there. She likes hiring ladies because she thinks they're more attentive to detail. Sorry, guys. Not trying to be sexist, but the ladies do a great job when it comes to detail. I think they're more apt to multitask. So her crew is all female. Not saying she won't hire a guy, but it just seems to be who's risen to the top when it comes to candidates to hire. And it's worked for her, but they're good printers, but many of them, she didn't want them having to fix the machine, so she could be out doing more social media marketing. She's actually traveling with me this weekend to an event she signed up for in Austin. And so to do more of that, you can't be always having to fix a machine. So her next machine was Mamaki. Does it sound like your story, Steve?
I'm just thinking about the photo of Steve. Maybe if Chris, you could find it, you could pop it up. It's like Steven in a lab coat.
I put a bathrobe on with a headlamp
and like tools.
Like a Chilean miner.
It is the 2-head of Mamaki because I felt like the 1-head, her being a production shop, she didn't want to go that slow, but she has the 2-head Mamaki, the 300, and it's been a great machine. The printer is everything that they said it would be. It will dock itself and clean itself. there's been some minor issues. The dryer, I know DTF Superstore is now producing their own dryers, which I think fixed a lot of problems with their previous dryer, which was a China-based machine. But Mamaki's been a solid machine when it comes to reliability. I know the forehead machines are faster ones out there, but for her needs, the Mamaki's been great. She'd love to have a second one, but she's selling the Mongoose too right now as we speak. If anybody needs a Mongoose, she just didn't want to have to be behind it, always having to fix it.
Wow. What a journey.
Any takers?
We run Mongooses. They're great. They're great. And the color, the vibrancy is solid. They're just a little finicky. But I think what I'm hearing is you said something like your wife basically became a tech.
Yeah.
I mean, she could probably beat anyone out now because she knows every part of that machine and what's going to go wrong, and that's the commitment you have to make if you want to get into DTF is you will have to become a technician or have someone super tech savvy, and you have to be prepared to make that investment.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the tech support thing because something else you did when we met at DTF Expo, which now there's a DTF Expo that Adrian and the crew put on and did a great job with, and we'll see it continue to grow. You did a little bit of a study to test out different transfers in the space.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know who charged you with that, but you kind of did a study of all these different transfers to see which one was best. Talk to us about the tech support testing first. How many companies you call? What did you notice?
What do you say?
Floor us for a second. Like what did that Frank Good study
look like? How can I use this in other
like?
aspects of my life?
Yeah.
I feel this is a more political question than DGI.
Well, no. What were you like? What were the funniest things that happened? Like people you wouldn't get answers today. Like what kind of questions were you asking? Like tell me about this. What was that? Why did you come across? Why did you end up at DTF Superstore besides they just answered?
So our team, and there's two of me now that manage our contract decorator network, but we also are tasked with decorator relations, embellishment partners. And so I was tasked with it to do sort of an R&D study of who are people talking about out there, what's their experience like, and I judged it on website experience, placing the order online, uploading it from the checkout all the way to receiving the goods, what the packaging looked like, to application. I did all of my own, and I did various types of applications from 100% poly to blends to t-shirts to fleece. I wanted to know what the experience was, and then lastly, the color vibrancy. And that's another challenge we can talk about later when it comes to color management. But it was across the board. I would say the expectation was pretty generic. There was a sliding scale, and only a few came out on top, consistent all the way across. I have the highest respect for the people that I surveyed, that I sampled, and I can't say there was one loser that I would say, hey, I would never use this company. They all had great.
Frank, are you asking for samples from each of these? That's how you're going to support.
Are you randomly
I placed an order
them
through my wife's business from each of these companies, so it wasn't
like you were a customer.
Yeah, like I was a customer.
Yeah.
There was a few she had to set up an account with, so I even experienced setting up the account, and the experience. It was neat to see where we've come in the market altogether.
Who's at the bottom of the barrel?
What's that?
No. Who's and this is just DTF. These aren't like this isn't like class assault transfers. These aren't.
I did this the week that Supercolor launched their DTF product, so which was interesting.
Did you include them?
And I will say, when it came to color, Supercolor took it. They had the best color output across all, and I uploaded 5 different logos. applied each logo, to 4 different garments. And it was Supercolor has
Did
a
you
great
take photos
product
of these?
for color. Stalls was a hot peel.
And
Stalls was great, easy. So just talk about
interesting. How many companies did you test? What was the total sample size?
6 different companies.
6 different companies. So notable names that sell. And you tested Supercolor's DTF transfer, not their traditional,
not their proprietary product.
Interesting. And you found Supercolor to be the best
For the color vibrancy and
color.
consistency.
Okay. Okay.
And then also, Stephen,
the peel.
When it comes to choking your white color, sometimes you can, especially in a production scenario, sometimes the white can peek out some, when it's not, and you have to realign heads. Supercolor, no issues.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about, you said something about the peel there. So you said Stalls was really good with a nice hot peel.
Hot peel.
Which is important. What about Supas?
Supa, I believe it was a cold peel or medium.
Okay.
And a lot of times the peel it was dependent on the size of the item, size of the logo.
Interesting.
So smaller logos, maybe they had more detail. You had to cold peel. I tested Howard. Howard had a great product. And I think Howard I had in my hands within 2 days. So that was another thing, was how long did it take to get the product?
Well, in the Midwest too. As Howard, for reference, is somewhere outside of Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest?
Elgin, I think.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. What's funny? In one of the Facebook groups, the DTF Facebook groups are a hoot. Yeah. They're hilarious.
Oh, I loved your
at the
DTF Expo when you said looking for a DTF printer. That was awesome.
Yeah. I started my talk with, I'm looking for DTF transfers in Phoenix. Can anyone get me some quickly? And by the end of the talk, I had like 15 comments in an hour. It was hilarious. And someone was so a lot of people buy DTF machines to sell transfers to other people, like to contract print basically. Yeah. And I'm here to tell you that's a race to the bottom, because you have companies like Howard, like Stalls, like Supercolor, who are investing millions and millions of dollars to get the best quality transfer for the lowest cost and scale and consistency. And one of these companies, someone just roasted Stalls for being like, they keep dropping their prices. How can we compete with them? It's a race to the bottom. And it's like, that's why, that's why we buy from Gildan or we buy from SNS and we buy Gildan shirts. Like that's why I'm not making my own shirts. Yeah. And it just
did
goes
you see
to
Josh
show,
replied? I thought it was, great.
Beautiful.
And his reply was,
what did Josh say?
Perfect. I was like, way to go, Josh.
What did he say?
I'll have to find it.
He just said that, they do consider, I think their customer, and they consider the market. And it was a move that, they were already looking because of their, they opened up an Arizona facility. And because of, I guess, their footprint, they were able to lower their prices. It wasn't like they did it.
I mean, that's the same way, some companies are super competitive. I'll give you another example. Like
we did that.
Printful. Yeah. I mean, Printful, you can get a t-shirt DTG shipped directly, for $9.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, that's so cheap. Well, like, yeah, they have like an arbitrary, like they're able to logistically be able to do that. And with economies of scale, they have a facility in Mexico and North Carolina. It's like, they can do those things and they're a profitable, healthy business. So like, they're making it easier for us. So like, you're competing with Goliath, like, you're not going to take them down unless you're a craft brewery and you're trying to do something super unique and super niche. But in a commoditized business like that it is now, if you're selling transfers to someone else, they're going to go somewhere else. And then they're going to eventually go, oh crap, I could just order on Supa or Stalls or Howard. And it's so much easier.
Marketing, I best experience receiving the package was Ninja, because you got this triangular box that had Ninja all over it, and you open it,
include little stickers and stuff.
Yeah,
dude,
they give
Ninja's
you a
website is
and a QR code for the directions, and it was like, oh, I got my Ninja transfers in. So that was, and their website was probably the easiest to use.
Cool peel though. I remember. Which does.
Yeah, they even sell a little fan that helps you cool it faster.
Yeah, reminds me of the sticker mule where they throw in the hot sauce in there.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's cool.
Ninja does great marketing. It was a good experience.
Their marketing is good, and I think what you have to remember is their technology will only get better. Right. I was at Printful this week and they had Cornette Atlases.
Oh, wow.
And these are $350,000 units. They had 32 of them there.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, we are investing like millions and millions into the next best, greatest thing. So like, we know we're going to come out with it. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
The Ninjas, the Howards, the Supas, the Stalls, they're probably investing heavily into, what's coming next, which I think is really, really interesting.
Back
Frank,
to your
in your
Facebook post,
opinion, what were you going to say?
I want to say that, yes, the big guys have leverage, but just your local community, I think, you have I don't think Stalls and Supercolor and Ninja can hit, and Howard can hit every market. So I think there is a demand now to grow to get to that size. Maybe you have to have multiple facilities nationwide, but I say just do the best that you can if you're going to sell just transfers, because my wife does. She's found a niche market and she does well at it. And now she's looking, okay, how do I get to the next step? And so a lot of people cry about that. Oh, it's not fair. No, I mean, that's free market enterprise. Just do your best, give people the best experience, find your niche.
But your wife runs like a craft brewery. It's got a market and a brand and experience. And so it's like going to a really nice.
It's a DIY.
But the whole experience she's selling is that, like, it's almost like not a sip and paint, if you will.
Yeah.
But she's created a brand around the experience of it. Not just trying to be the cheapest to get to another print shop.
Right.
She's really turned it into, a crafting thing, a crafting experience, which is a super cool way to stick out. Bruce, what were you going to say?
Did you document this process or take photos or anything?
All the above.
Write it all
I had to do a PowerPoint to present it to my management team.
Can
it be independently used?
Share this? Yeah. So can I share this and say?
I even broke it down to the pricing.
This is good.
This is good stuff.
That was before Stalls changed their pricing, so it's no longer legit.
Well, it has to be a date. It's a date and time. It's at this moment. This is how I rank things. This is the pricing and everything.
Yeah.
If you'd anonymously like to send it to me and we publish it, I would love to. But if not, okay.
Frank, mainly what about heat presses though? From S&S perspective, what's going on in the market? My co-manager that manages the program with me, Jason, he did the same thing for the Polaris when it launched. He's taking garments to M&R and he's like, hey, try it on this garment, what's working best on the Polaris. It's just, I think as a distributor and now that, we're one of the largest in the nation, it's our due diligence for our customers too. So when customers say, hey, how does this, Adidas Polo, how does it work with DTF? I can feel confident, and telling them, oh, it works great. We've done it. Yeah.
What about heat presses? Did you try those? Did you try different ones of those, or is it just on the transfer side?
That was just on the transfer side. I tried to keep it standardized. So I did use a Hotronix Fusion IQ for all transfers. I think Stahl's Hotronix is a great press, and it's consistent. So that's why I wanted to pretty much take that out of the equation, that it wasn't going to be any variation in heat press.
All right, company man. Just kidding. Won't comment on other heat presses.
Hey, MEM is making strides too. I've seen a lot.
He said the word. Okay? He said the word. All right. His loyalty is still. No, I'm just kidding. Frank, at what point should you buy a DTF if you were to give a shop advice?
If you want a divorce, if
you don't have to.
Two or one? Jeez, this is going places.
No, I would say depending on your market. Now, if you are doing finished goods, you're already ordering blanks. Why would you want to have another headache of in-house printing when you can order, I mean, stalls, I think if you get it in by 8 a.m., they ship it out the same day. Supercolor, Howard, Ninja, your local DTF printer, if you got a good relationship with them, why would you want, I know some people, they want the control. And Stephen, with your NIL stuff, I understand that. But I just find it hard doing finished goods. Why would you want that headache in house? Unless it's just a matter of controlling color output, controlling, in-hands dates, or because you stock inventory already. I just don't know why you would want that. Now, if you're
speed, we had Oklahoma Shirt Company. They mentioned
Justin?
wanting to bring it in house because they're going back and forth. Sometimes there's issues, quicker turn. He still was at 3 days, I think, I believe, or so. But having that faster, he felt was an advantage.
Okay.
What do you think?
I know Davis Slagle does a lot too. You guys have had Davis on the
B Graphics.
Yeah, B Graphics. Yeah. And I think he's at 5 printers now. And, I think he's pretty smart the way he does it. He has a lot of program business though. So that makes sense for his programs. But when he gets a large screen print order, he still subs that out to a contractor, right? Maybe large embroidery orders, he's doing the same.
So, Frank, there's not a dollar amount you spend per month that you would say is a threshold. Like, if I'm spending this much a month, I should consider bringing in, or I shouldn't consider bringing in until this. Do you have any advice?
If I had to put a dollar amount, I would say 10,000 monthly. You're spending 10,000 a month, because then you're looking at margin.
Gotcha.
And do you have the staffing, the capacity, the space? I say capacity, mental capacity to work on a machine, but also, do you have the space in your building? Are you looking at duplicate? Because when that machine goes down, then you're going to have to sub it out. So are you going to have multiple machines? So do you have the space for that? And then, I talked earlier about color output. The issue I'm finding, my wife is finding out, is having 3 different branded machines is going to give you 3 different color outputs. So how these big guys handle color management is a science of its own, especially multiple locations. You're different humidity factors, I guess, shelf life, ink. Hopefully you're using all the same ink and machine output. That's going to take part of that out of the equation. But when you run multiple machines, different PET film, different powders, different ink, you're in for a headache when it comes to color management for, let's say, reorders. And that's what my wife is seeing. She's shopping right now. Currently, she's using Fiery, CAD-Link. And I think Mamaki comes with Rasterlink, but DTF, she bought it from DTF Superstore, and they have a good relationship with what was CAD-Link, now it's Fiery Digital Factory. It's a great product, and that's what Coldesi runs. Is it's a CAD-Link product, Fiery product, but still different 2 color outputs. She's done ICC profiles. She's gotten it close. So the next thing, she's looking at a color management solution that will sort of take over her RIP and set a device link across devices to get a matching color output. But that's when you're dealing with an X-Rite spectrophotometer and, bringing in wizards, guys that have, degrees in this color management.
Yeah. That is something we're struggling with. We love the consistency of the Mamaki, but we can't get it to match the Mongoose all the time. So there's certain schools we won't run on them. But they're working on it, which is cool. This was a super awesome episode. This could go down as a favorite one. We could go in so many different directions, but no, this is awesome. Bruce, you got anything else?
Thanks, Frank. No, I appreciate first of all, I appreciate your support of all the conferences and everything.
Can't wait for Print Hustlers this year.
You're always there, at the different ones, Print Hustlers and the others too. And I think, for me personally, I truly appreciate that support and bringing SNS in on that too, and helping share, hey, this is something we got to be a part of. So
I was going to have my Bruce bobblehead out here, but I didn't get it out in time.
It's all right. If you need
It's all
one,
good.
I can send you one.
Yeah. Steve's got inventory.
No,
But
I got inventory.
Frank Good,
Good to know.
SNS, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Frank?
fgood at
email?
ssactivewear.com or ssactivewear.com is SNS's website. And any
You also answer Facebook messages really fast.
Yeah. I'm always on all the social media channels. I love to promote SNS anywhere I can. It's a great company, and it's just a lot of fun. I have a passion for it, so love it.
Frank, it seems like you enjoy what you do and what you like. You seem like you're in your element.
Oh,
It's
thank
pretty
you.
cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's
All
the
right.
show.
Guys,
Thanks for
having
joining
me.
us. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.